Make a decision. He finally made a decision to change his career. Take a break. She took a break after working for 3 hours straight. Heavy rain. The game was cancelled because of heavy rain. Pay attention. You need to pay attention during the lecture. Make a mistake. He made a mistake and had to redo the whole report. Save money. They started saving money to buy a new house. Lose weight. She exercised every day to lose weight before summer. Give a speech. He was nervous before giving a speech in front of the class. Make progress. The team made great progress on the project this week. Take notes. She always takes notes during important meetings. Do homework. He forgot to do his homework and got in trouble. Keep a promise. It's important to keep a promise once you make one. Waste time. Stop wasting time and start working on your essay. Make friends. It was hard to make friends when she moved to a new city. Lose control. He lost control of his car on the icy road. Take a risk. Sometimes you have to take a risk to grow. Do a favor. Could you do me a favor and pick up some milk? Make an effort. She made a real effort to improve her English. Break a record. The athlete broke a record at the championship. Keep in touch. Let's keep in touch after you move abroad. Pay a bill. He forgot to pay the electricity bill this month. Have a conversation. They had a long conversation about their future plans. Catch a cold. She caught a cold after walking in the rain. Set a goal. He set a clear goal for himself at the start of the year. Take responsibility. You need to take responsibility for your actions. Make a reservation. She made a reservation at the restaurant for 2. Do research. He spent the weekend doing research for his essay. Get permission. You need to get permission before using the photo. Lose hope. Even after failing twice, she never lost hope. Take a shower. He takes a shower every morning before breakfast. Make a complaint. She made a complaint about the noise to the manager. Do the dishes. After dinner, he offered to do the dishes. Cause damage. The storm caused serious damage to the buildings. Raise awareness. The campaign aimed to raise awareness about climate change. Make an appointment. She called to make an appointment with the doctor. Pay respect. They gathered to pay respect to the victims. Have a meeting. The team had a meeting every Monday morning. Get a promotion. She worked hard and finally got a promotion. Take medicine. Don't forget to take your medicine after meals. Make a difference. Volunteering can really make a difference in people's lives. Do a good job. She did a really good job presenting the report. Gain experience. Traveling abroad helps you gain valuable experience. Keep a secret. He trusted her to keep a secret about the surprise party. Take action. It's time to stop talking and take action. Make a plan. They made a detailed plan before starting the trip. Lose patience. He lost patience after waiting for over an hour. Have a dream. She has always had a dream of becoming a writer. Save time. Using public transport can save a lot of time in the city. Take a walk. They took a walk along the river after dinner. Give advice. She gave me some really useful advice about job interviews. Make sense. His explanation didn't quite make sense to me. Do damage. The virus did a lot of damage to the computer system. Take a seat. Please take a seat and wait for your name to be called. Have a look. Can you have a look at this email before I send it? Pay attention to detail. Good designers always pay attention to detail. Make a living. He makes a living by selling handmade furniture online. Break a habit. It's hard to break a bad habit once it's formed. Take a chance. She decided to take a chance and apply for the job. Get a grade. He studied all night to get a good grade on the test. Cause problems. Poor communication often causes problems in relationships. Make a move. It's your turn, you need to make a move. Do research on? She spent months doing research on ocean pollution. Take a position. He took a clear position on the issue during the debate. Have a feeling. I have a feeling that something good is about to happen. Keep a record. Make sure to keep a record of all your expenses. Make an impression. She made a strong impression at her first job interview. Lose track of time. He lost track of time while reading and missed dinner. Take charge. When the manager was away, she took charge of the team. Give a presentation. He gave a confident presentation to the whole company. Do your best. No matter what, always do your best. Pay a visit. She paid a visit to her grandmother on the weekend. Make a choice. In the end, you have to make a choice. Get a chance. I finally got a chance to travel to Europe last summer. Take turns. The kids took turns using the computer. Hold a meeting. They held a meeting to discuss the budget for next year. Make noise. Please don't make noise while the baby is sleeping. Lose a game. They lost the game but learned a lot from it. Take care of. She took care of her younger brother every afternoon. Give feedback. The teacher gave helpful feedback on every essay. Make a request. He politely made a request to change his seat. Do exercise. She tries to do exercise at least 3 times a week. Take time. Learning a new language takes a lot of time and effort. Have a good time. We had a really good time at the beach last weekend. Make contact. He made contact with the supplier to discuss the order. Pay the price. If you ignore your health, you'll eventually pay the price. Give a hand. Could you give me a hand moving this table? Take a message. She wasn't available, so I took a message for her. Make room. He moved the boxes to make room for the new sofa. Do a report. She stayed up late to do a report for the morning meeting. Get a result. Hard work usually gets results in the end. Keep order. The teacher struggled to keep order in the noisy classroom. Make a scene. Please don't make a scene in a public place. Take part in. He took part in a local marathon for charity. Have a headache. She had a bad headache after staring at the screen all day. Lose your mind. With 3 kids at home, she felt like she was losing her mind. Give a reason. He gave no reason for arriving late to the meeting. Make a point. She made a good point about the need for better communication. Take measures. The government took measures to reduce plastic use. Do laundry. He does laundry every Sunday morning without fail. Get a refund. She returned the jacket and got a full refund. Hold your breath. He held his breath and jumped into the cold water. Make a deal. They shook hands and made a deal on the spot. Take a test. She stayed up all night before taking the final test. Give a ride. He gave her a ride to the airport in the morning. Make a suggestion. Can I make a suggestion about the new schedule? Do the math. If you do the math, the second option is clearly cheaper. Take a trip. They took a short trip to the mountains for the weekend. Have a point. I think she has a point, we should reconsider the plan. Keep your word. A good leader always keeps their word. Make an excuse. He kept making excuses instead of solving the problem. Pay a fine. He had to pay a fine for parking in the wrong spot. Give a warning. The teacher gave a warning before the final exam. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and try to stay calm. Lose weight. He lost weight by cutting out sugar and walking daily. Make a joke. He made a joke to ease the tension in the room. Do a task. She completed every assigned task before the deadline. Get a job. After months of searching, he finally got a job. Take a look at. Can you take a look at this contract before I sign it? Have a rest. You should have a rest after such a long day. Keep calm. It's important to keep calm in an emergency situation. Make a habit of. She made a habit of reading before bed every night. Give notice. He gave 2 weeks' notice before leaving the company. Pay attention to. Try to pay more attention to how you speak to others. Take an exam. She was nervous about taking the national exam next month. Do your homework. Make sure you do your homework before the class discussion. Make a profit. The small bakery started making a profit after 6 months. Lose an opportunity. Don't lose this opportunity, it won't come again. Get a haircut. He got a haircut before his sister's wedding. Take a lesson. She decided to take piano lessons to learn something new. Have a word with. Can I have a word with you after the meeting? Keep a diary. She has kept a diary since she was in middle school. Give a tour. He gave us a tour of the city on our first day. Make a discovery. Scientists made an exciting discovery about deep-sea life. Do a project. They worked together to do a group project for class. Take a position on. She took a firm position on the issue of workers' rights. Get used to. It took time to get used to waking up so early. Hold an event. The school held an annual event to celebrate student achievements. Make progress on. We've been making steady progress on the new product. Pay for. He offered to pay for everyone's coffee as a thank you. Give support. Friends and family gave her a lot of support during the tough time. Take a vote. The team decided to take a vote on the new policy. Do a survey. They did a survey to find out what customers really wanted. Have an argument. They had a big argument but made up the next day. Keep in mind. Keep in mind that the deadline is this Friday. Make a contribution. Everyone can make a contribution, no matter how small. Lose sleep over. Don't lose sleep over things you can't control. Get a discount. She got a big discount by buying tickets in advance. Take advantage of. He took advantage of the sale and bought a new laptop. Give a compliment. She gave him a genuine compliment on his presentation. Make arrangements. They made all the travel arrangements a month in advance. Do a favor. She did me a big favor by covering my shift last night. Take the lead. She took the lead on the project and guided the whole team. Have trouble with. He's been having a lot of trouble with his new software. Keep up with. It's hard to keep up with all the latest news. Make a bid. The company made a bid to win the government contract. Lose confidence. After failing twice, he started to lose confidence in himself. Get in trouble. He got in trouble for missing the deadline without warning. Give a chance. Everyone deserves to be given a chance to prove themselves. Take care. Take care when crossing the road in heavy traffic. Do your part. If everyone does their part, we can reach the goal together. Hold a conversation. She can hold a conversation in French after just 1 year. Make a living from. She makes a living from selling her artwork online. Pay attention in class. Students who pay attention in class tend to do better. Give a lecture. The professor gave a fascinating lecture on human behavior. Take measures to. The city took measures to reduce air pollution last year. Have fun. Don't forget to have fun while you're working toward your goals. Keep your cool. He managed to keep his cool even during the tough negotiation. Make a resolution. She made a New Year's resolution to exercise every morning. Lose interest. He started to lose interest in the hobby after a few months. Get a raise. After 2 years of hard work, she finally got a raise. Take a stand. He decided to take a stand against the unfair policy. Give a try. Why not give it a try before saying you can't do it? Do wonders. A good night's sleep can do wonders for your mood. Make an announcement. The CEO made an important announcement at the company meeting. Have a break. Let's have a short break before we continue the meeting. Keep a balance. It's important to keep a balance between work and personal life. Lose a bet. He lost a bet and had to buy everyone dinner. Get feedback. She asked her mentor to get feedback on her business plan. Take a stand against. More people are taking a stand against online harassment. Give an opinion. Everyone was encouraged to give their opinion during the discussion. Make a recovery. The patient made a full recovery after the surgery. Do the right thing. Even when it's hard, you should always do the right thing. Have an impact. Small daily choices can have a big impact over time. Keep going. Even when things get tough, you have to keep going. Make a deal with. She made a deal with her boss to work from home twice a week. Lose your temper. Try not to lose your temper in front of the children. Get things done. She is really good at getting things done efficiently. Take a stand on. It's time to take a clear stand on this issue. Give a shot. I've never tried surfing, but I'll give it a shot. Make an error. He made a small error in the final calculation. Do harm. Spreading false information can do a lot of harm to others. Have a say. Every member of the team should have a say in the decision. Keep in contact. They kept in contact even after graduation. Make a connection. She made a meaningful connection with someone at the conference. Lose sight of. Don't lose sight of your goals when things get difficult. Get an idea. She got a great idea while taking a shower. Take a hint. He didn't seem to take the hint that she wanted to leave. Give in. After hours of debate, he finally gave in and agreed. Make a budget. They made a strict budget to save for their vacation. Do the trick. A little honey in the tea did the trick for her sore throat. Have a hard time. She had a hard time adjusting to life in a new country. I'm going to start exercising every morning from next week. It's important to listen carefully before you respond. I'd like to book a table for 2 this Saturday evening. I'm thinking of applying for a new job next month. It takes time to build trust with someone new. I can't wait to see my family during the holidays. It's hard to focus when there's too much noise around you. I was wondering if you could help me with this report. It seems like the weather is going to get worse tonight. I'm looking forward to starting my new job next week. There's no need to rush, we have plenty of time. I'm used to waking up early after years of morning shifts. It's worth spending extra time on the introduction of your essay. I ended up staying home because I wasn't feeling well. I'm supposed to hand in the assignment by tomorrow morning. There's no point in worrying about things you can't change. I'd rather stay in tonight than go out in the cold. It's no wonder she got the promotion, she works incredibly hard. I feel like taking a long walk to clear my head. It's about time. It's about time we had a serious talk about the budget. I'm afraid. I'm afraid I can't make it to the meeting tomorrow morning. It makes sense to. It makes sense to plan ahead when you're going on a long trip. I tend to overthink things before making a decision. It's possible that the meeting will be moved to next week. I happen to run into my old teacher at the grocery store. There's a chance that the event gets cancelled due to rain. I managed to finish the project just before the deadline. It's likely that prices will go up again next year. I can't help feeling nervous before every presentation. It depends on how much time we have before the deadline. I'm not sure if he understood what I was trying to say. It's a good idea to confirm your reservation the day before. I'm about to head out. Do you need anything from the store? There's no way we can finish this by tomorrow afternoon. I used to walk to school every day when I was a kid. It occurs to me that we never discussed the deadline for this. I'm willing to work overtime if it helps the team meet the goal. It's not easy to stay motivated when results take a long time. I'd better leave now or I'll miss the last train home. There's nothing like a hot bowl of soup on a cold day. I can't afford to make any more mistakes on this project. It's up to you whether you want to join us tonight. I'm struggling to stay focused after such a long day. It's surprising that so few people voted in the local election. I'm planning to take a short trip during the long weekend. There's no doubt that she is the most qualified candidate. I ended up having to redo the whole presentation from scratch. It's essential that everyone follows the safety guidelines. I'd say the second option is the more practical choice here. It's getting harder to find affordable housing in the city. I'm having trouble understanding this part of the contract. There's a possibility that the project timeline will change. I need to make sure everything is ready before the client arrives. It's unlikely that he'll change his mind after such a firm decision. I happen to know a great restaurant near the conference center. There's no guarantee that working hard will always bring quick results. I'm thinking about going back to school to study design. It's clear that more investment is needed in public transportation. I couldn't help but laugh when I heard what happened. It's obvious that they didn't prepare enough for the presentation. I'm doing my best to stay positive despite everything going on. There's no reason to panic. We still have options on the table. I just wanted to say thank you for all your help this week. It's time to stop making excuses and start taking action. I've decided to move to a smaller apartment to save money. There's nothing I can do about it now, so I'll move forward. I'm determined to finish this course no matter how long it takes. It's possible to learn a new language with just 30 minutes a day. I'm running out of ideas for the marketing campaign. There's a risk that the data could be lost if we don't back it up. I've been trying to I've been trying to cut down on coffee, but it's not easy. It's reasonable to. It's reasonable to expect clear communication from your manager. I'm aware that this decision will affect everyone on the team. There's a lot to consider before making such a big move. I can't imagine how difficult it must have been for her family. It's better to ask for help early than to struggle alone. I've been meaning to call you for weeks, sorry for the delay. There's still time to fix the mistake before the report goes out. I'm excited about the new project we're starting next month. It's worth noting that this approach has worked well in the past. I've given up trying to convince him he won't change his mind. There's a lot of pressure to perform well in the final round. I'm committed to improving my skills every single day. It's crucial to double-check the numbers before submitting the report. I've always wanted to learn how to play the guitar. There's no harm in asking. The worst they can say is no. I'm confident that the team will deliver great results. It's tempting to skip the gym when you're feeling tired. I've just realized that I left my wallet at the coffee shop. There's more to this story than what she told us. I'm grateful for all the support I received during that difficult time. It's natural to feel nervous before a big job interview. I've been thinking about changing my approach to studying English. There's a fine line between being confident and being arrogant. I'm relieved that everything worked out better than expected. It's fair to say that the project was a success overall. I've never been able to fall asleep on long flights. There's no easy way to say this, but we need to talk. I strongly believe that consistency is the key to success. It's becoming harder to ignore the signs of burnout. I've finally figured out how to set up the new software correctly. There's something about that place that always makes me feel calm. I'm considering switching to a plant-based diet for health reasons. It's not worth arguing over something so small and unimportant. I've come to realize that rest is just as important as hard work. There's no escaping the fact that we missed the original deadline. I'm convinced that learning English will open so many new doors. It's frustrating when you work hard but don't see quick results. I've made up my mind to start saving money more seriously. There's not much I can do about it now except move on. I'm in the process of updating my resume and portfolio. It's common to feel a little lost when starting a new job. I've been hoping to get some feedback on my recent work. There's a good chance that we'll finish ahead of schedule. I'm getting better at managing my time since I started using a planner. It's never too late to learn something new and meaningful. I've started to notice how much time I spend on my phone each day. There's no such thing as a perfect plan, just get started. I'm trying to figure out the best way to approach this problem. It's hard not to It's hard not to compare yourself to others on social media. I've always believed that. I've always believed that kindness costs nothing but means everything. There's a difference between. There's a clear difference between being busy and being productive. I'm in no position to judge. I've made the same mistake myself. It's easy to forget that. It's easy to forget that small steps still lead to real progress. I've got to admit that I wasn't expecting such a great outcome. There's plenty of time to make changes before the final deadline. I'm slowly getting used to the new routine after moving cities. It's one thing to, but another to. It's one thing to have a plan, but another to actually follow it. I've found that writing things down helps me remember them better. There's nothing wrong with asking for help when you need it. I'm at the point where I need to make a real decision about my future. It's no secret that remote work has completely changed how we live. I've realized that the key to good writing is reading a lot. There's no telling how long this situation is going to last. I'm not in the mood to go out tonight, let's stay in. It goes without saying that honesty is the foundation of trust. I've been doing a lot of thinking about my long-term goals lately. There's every reason to feel proud of what you've accomplished. I'm at a loss as to how this problem could have been avoided. It just so happens that I know someone who works at that company. I've been putting off cleaning my desk for way too long. There's a tendency to underestimate how long tasks actually take. I'm positive that with more practice, you'll improve quickly. It crossed my mind that maybe I was overthinking the whole thing. I've come a long way since I first started learning to cook. There's more than one way to solve this kind of problem. I'm starting to think that a career change might be the right move. It just doesn't make sense to spend that much on something you rarely use. I've grown to appreciate quiet mornings since living alone. There's nothing more satisfying than finishing a task you've been avoiding. I'm nowhere near ready to give a speech in front of that many people. It's about finding the right balance between effort and recovery. I've been making an effort to drink more water throughout the day. There's no use in dwelling on mistakes, just learn and move on. Look up. She looked up the word in the dictionary before using it. Give up. He almost gave up learning guitar, but kept going. Run into. I ran into my old classmate at the subway station yesterday. Turned down. She turned down the job offer because the salary was too low. Bring up. He brought up an interesting point during the team meeting. Come across. She came across an old photo while cleaning her room. Figure out. It took him a while to figure out how the new system worked. Get along with. She gets along with almost everyone in the office. Put off. They put off the meeting because the manager was sick. Take off. The plane finally took off after a 2-hour delay. Break down. His car broke down on the way to the airport. Carry on. Despite the interruption, she carried on with her presentation. He came up with a brilliant idea during lunch. Go through. She went through a really tough time after losing her job. Hand in. Please hand in your assignment before noon on Friday. Keep up with. It's hard to keep up with all the changes in technology. Look into. The manager agreed to look into the customer's complaint. Move on. After the breakup, it took her months to move on. Point out. He politely pointed out a mistake in the report. Run out of. They ran out of coffee right before the morning meeting. Set up. She spent the whole afternoon setting up the new workspace. Show up. He showed up an hour late without any explanation. Take over. When the CEO retired, her daughter took over the company. Turn up. The missing documents turned up in the wrong filing cabinet. Work out. They worked out all the details before signing the contract. Back up. Make sure to back up your files before updating the system. Call off. The outdoor concert was called off due to heavy rain. Catch up. Let's meet for coffee and catch up on everything. Check in. Passengers need to check in at least 2 hours before departure. Come down with. He came down with a cold right before the big presentation. Cut back on. She decided to cut back on spending to save more money. Deal with. He had to deal with several complaints from unhappy clients. Drop off. She dropped off the kids at school before heading to work. End up. They ended up choosing the cheaper option after all. Fall apart. The project fell apart because of poor communication. Get away with. He thought he could get away with submitting the work late. Give in. After much debate, she gave in and agreed to the new plan. Go ahead. Feel free to go ahead with the plan if everyone agrees. Hold on. Hold on a second, I think we missed an important step. Kick off. The new campaign kicked off with a big launch event. Layoff. The company had to lay off several employees during the downturn. Let down. She felt really let down when her friend canceled at the last minute. Look after. He stayed home to look after his sick younger sister. Make up. They had a big argument but made up by the end of the day. Mix up. She mixed up the 2 files and sent the wrong one to the client. Pass on. He decided to pass on the dessert to watch his diet. Pick up. Can you pick up some groceries on your way home tonight? Pull off. Against all odds, they pulled off an amazing performance. Put up with. She couldn't put up with the constant noise any longer. Rule out. The doctor ruled out any serious conditions after the checkup. Run away from. Avoiding problems is just running away from reality. Set off. They set off early to avoid the morning traffic jam. Sort out. It took a few hours to sort out the billing issue. Stand out. Her creative approach really made her stand out from the crowd. Stick to. If you stick to the plan, you'll see results in a few weeks. Take on. She decided to take on more responsibilities at work. Talk over. Let's talk over the proposal before making a final decision. Think over. Take your time and think it over before you commit. Throw away. Don't throw away old receipts until after the tax season. Try out. She was excited to try out the new coffee shop downtown. Turn around. The company managed to turn things around after a difficult year. Use up. They used up all the printer paper before the week was over. Watch out. Watch out for icy roads on your way to work this morning. Wear out. After hiking all day, she was completely worn out. Wind up. He wound up spending the entire weekend on the project. Work on. She's been working on her public speaking skills for months. Burn out. He burned out after months of working without any rest. Calm down. Take a few deep breaths to calm down before responding. Check out. Let's check out that new Italian restaurant on Friday night. Clear up. The misunderstanding was quickly cleared up in the meeting. Count on. You can always count on her to deliver results on time. Cut off. The storm cut off power to most of the neighborhood. Die down. The excitement died down after a few weeks on the market. Draw up. They drew up a contract before starting the new partnership. Drop in. She dropped in to say hello while passing through the neighborhood. Ease up. The rain finally eased up after several days of heavy storms. Fall behind. He fell behind on his studies after missing 2 weeks of class. Feel up to. I don't really feel up to going out tonight, I'm exhausted. Find out. She found out about the promotion from a colleague by accident. Get back to. I'll get back to you with an answer by end of day. Get over. It took her a long time to get over the disappointment. Give back. He gave back the borrowed book with a thank you note. Go over. Let's go over the main points one more time before the meeting. Grow up. He grew up in a small town but moved to the city for university. Hang out. They used to hang out every weekend before life got busy. Hold back. She held back her tears during the farewell speech. Hold up. The traffic jam held up the delivery for over 2 hours. Iron out. We still need to iron out a few details before launching. Join in. Don't be shy, feel free to join in the conversation. Leave out. He accidentally left out an important detail in the summary. Let go of. It's time to let go of old habits that are holding you back. Look forward to. She's been looking forward to this vacation for months. Look out for. Look out for any spelling errors before submitting the document. Make out. The handwriting was so messy that she couldn't make it out. Miss out on. Don't miss out on this opportunity, it won't come again. Open up. He slowly began to open up about his struggles with stress. Own up. He finally owned up to making the mistake in the spreadsheet. Pass out. She nearly passed out from exhaustion after the long race. Pay back. He promised to pay back the money by the end of the month. Pick out. It took her an hour to pick out the right outfit for the event. Press on. Despite the challenges, they pressed on with the project. Pull through. The patient was in critical condition but managed to pull through. Reach out. She decided to reach out to her mentor for some career advice. Rely on. You can't always rely on others to solve your problems for you. Run over. Let's run over the schedule one more time before the event. Set out. They set out on the journey before sunrise to beat the heat. Show off. He couldn't help showing off his new promotion to everyone. Sign up. She signed up for a free online course to improve her skills. Slow down. You should slow down and take better care of your health. Speak up. If you disagree, don't hesitate to speak up in the meeting. Stand up for. She always stands up for what she believes is right. Step up. When no one volunteered, he stepped up and took the lead. Take back. She took back everything she said after learning the truth. Take up. He decided to take up photography as a weekend hobby. Tie up. Let's tie up all the loose ends before the client visits. Touch on. The speaker briefly touched on the topic of mental health. Track down. It took weeks to track down the source of the problem. Turn off. Please turn off the lights when you leave the conference room. Use up. She used up all her vacation days before the end of the year. Wake up. Try to wake up at the same time every day for better sleep. Wrap up. Let's wrap up the meeting so everyone can get back to work. As soon as she got home, she changed into comfortable clothes. By the way, did you hear about the new coffee shop downtown? In fact, In fact, the project was completed 2 days ahead of schedule. For example, you could try breaking the task into smaller steps. In other words, we need to start over from the beginning. On the other hand, staying in your current job has real benefits too. As a result, the team worked overtime and as a result, finished before the deadline. In addition, the new policy will apply to all departments starting Monday. For instance, regular exercise can significantly improve your sleep quality. At the same time, she managed to study and work part-time at the same time. In general, people tend to underestimate how long things take. As long as you stay consistent, you will see improvement over time. In the end, they decided to go with the simpler design. By the time we arrived, the restaurant had already closed. As a matter of fact, I've been to that city 3 times already. For the time being, let's stick with the current approach. In spite of the bad weather, the outdoor event went really well. On top of that, the deadline was moved up, and on top of that, 2 team members were sick. As far as I know, the meeting hasn't been rescheduled yet. In terms of cost, the second option is clearly more efficient. At first, she found the new software confusing and overwhelming. For good, he decided to quit smoking for good after his health scare. In contrast, the second candidate had very little relevant experience. On the whole, the feedback from customers has been quite positive. As soon as possible. Please send me the updated file as soon as possible. In advance. It's always better to book your tickets in advance during peak season. This is by no means a perfect solution, but it's a good start. At least try it once before deciding it's not for you. In the meantime, the repairs will take a few days. In the meantime, use the side entrance. On the contrary, he didn't seem tired. On the contrary, he was full of energy. As well as, she speaks French as well as Spanish fluently. In conclusion, the data clearly supports the need for a new approach. For the sake of the team, try to keep personal issues out of work. At most, the whole process should take at most 2 hours to complete. In return, she helped him move, and in return, he cooked dinner for her. The decision was made on the basis of the latest research available. As a whole, the project was a great success for the department. In light of recent events, we've decided to delay the product launch. For the most part, the new system has been working really well. At the moment, she's focused on finishing her thesis. In any case, we should have a backup plan ready before Friday. On average, people check their phones over 100 times a day. As of now, no final decision has been made about the budget cuts. She attended the conference in place of her manager. By all means. If you want to join us for lunch, by all means, come along. At times, working remotely can feel quite isolating and lonely. In practice, the idea sounds great in theory, but in practice it's quite difficult. She accepted the award on behalf of the entire research team. As usual, he arrived exactly 5 minutes before the meeting started. In the first place, why didn't you just ask for help in the first place? For now. Let's go with this version for now and revisit it next week. At once. Everyone started talking at once and no one could hear anything. In comparison, last year's results were significantly stronger. On purpose. She didn't break it on purpose, it was a complete accident. As of late, she's been feeling much more confident at work. In regard to your application, we will be in touch next week. For once, everything went exactly according to plan. At hand. Let's focus on the task at hand before thinking about next steps. In response to customer feedback, they updated the return policy. On reflection, I think we made the right decision after all. As expected, the product sold out within the first few hours. In the long run, investing in good habits always pays off. For a while. She sat quietly for a while before finally responding. At best, the plan is risky, and at best, it will only solve half the problem. In theory, it should work, but let's test it before committing. On time. It's important to submit all documents on time to avoid delays. As if. She looked at me as if I had said something completely ridiculous. In the meantime. Keep working on the draft, in the meantime, I'll confirm the details. For a change. Let's try something different for a change and eat outside today. At worst, we'll have to push the deadline back by a week. In the short term, the changes may feel uncomfortable and unfamiliar. On the spot. He was asked a tough question and had to answer on the spot. He spoke as though he had personally experienced everything himself. In the event that the system crashes, please follow the backup procedure. For real. I couldn't believe it, I had to ask if she was serious for real. At heart. Despite his tough appearance, he is really kind at heart. In line with. The new policy is in line with the company's long-term strategy. On the go. She's always on the go, juggling work, family, and her own projects. As it turns out, the cheaper option was actually the better one. In due course. Your application will be reviewed in due course, thank you for your patience. For the record, I never agreed to those terms in the first place. At this rate, we'll never finish the project on time. In one way or another. Everyone has been affected by the changes in one way or another. On the surface, everything looked fine, but problems were building underneath. As it stands, we don't have enough budget to cover all the expenses. In a way, the setback turned out to be a blessing in disguise. For the foreseeable future. Remote work will likely continue for the foreseeable future. At all costs. We need to protect the team's trust at all costs. In keeping with. The new design is in keeping with the brand's modern identity. On and off. She's been exercising on and off for years but wants to be more consistent. As things stand, the deadline is still set for the end of the month. In a nutshell, the plan is to expand into 3 new markets next year. For the most part, the feedback from the pilot program was very positive. At this point, changing the entire strategy seems too risky. In no time. With everyone helping out, the work was finished in no time. She was on the verge of giving up when she finally got the call. As a rule, she never checks her email after 9 in the evening. In retrospect, we should have asked more questions before signing. For good reason. She was cautious about the new plan, and for good reason. At a glance, At a glance, everything looked perfect, but the details told a different story. In the wake of the scandal, the company issued a public apology. On a regular basis. She meets with her mentor on a regular basis to review her progress. As a consequence, he ignored the warnings and as a consequence, lost the client. In the right direction. Every small step you take is a step in the right direction. For that matter. He never apologized, not to me, or to anyone else for that matter. At a loss. She was completely at a loss for words when she heard the news. In full. Please read the contract in full before signing anything. On good terms. Even after the split, they managed to stay on good terms. As time goes by, the differences between them became more clear. In the blink of an eye. The whole situation changed in the blink of an eye. For all intents and purposes, the project is already finished. At this stage, making major changes would cause more harm than good. In between. She grabbed a quick snack in between meetings to keep her energy up. Break the ice. He told a funny story to break the ice at the first meeting. Hit the sack. I'm exhausted, I think I'll hit the sack early tonight. Bite the bullet. She bit the bullet and finally went to the dentist. Spill the beans. Someone spilled the beans about the surprise party before the day. Beat around the bush. Stop beating around the bush and just tell me what happened. Cost an arm and a leg. The repairs ended up costing an arm and a leg. Hit the nail on the head. Her analysis hit the nail on the head, everyone agreed immediately. Under the weather. He called in sick because he was feeling a bit under the weather. Burn bridges. Think carefully before you quit, you don't want to burn bridges. Bite off more than you can chew. He bit off more than he could chew by taking on 3 projects. Once in a blue moon. She only visits her hometown once in a blue moon these days. Get out of hand. The situation got out of hand before anyone could step in. Cut corners. They cut corners on the construction and it showed in the result. Give someone the cold shoulder. She gave him the cold shoulder after the argument last week. Hit the ground running. She hit the ground running on her very first day at the new job. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Taking the scenic route killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Let the cat out of the bag. He accidentally let the cat out of the bag about the new product. Miss the boat. If you don't apply now, you might miss the boat entirely. On the fence. She's still on the fence about whether to accept the job offer. Piece of cake. After practicing for weeks, the exam felt like a piece of cake. Pull someone's leg. Don't worry, he was just pulling your leg about the deadline. See eye to eye. They rarely see eye to eye, but they still work well together. Sit on the fence. You can't sit on the fence forever, a decision needs to be made. The ball is in your court. I've made my offer, now the ball is in your court. Under someone's thumb. She felt like she was constantly under her boss's thumb. Wrap your head around. It took a while to wrap his head around the new concept. At the drop of a hat. She's always ready to help at the drop of a hat. Back to square one. The prototype failed, so it was back to square one for the team. Bite the hand that feeds you. Criticizing your sponsor publicly is biting the hand that feeds you. Blow off steam. He goes for a run after work to blow off steam. Brush up on. She spent the weekend brushing up on her Spanish before the trip. By the skin of your teeth. He passed the driving test by the skin of his teeth. Change of heart. She had a change of heart and decided to stay at the company. Come out of your shell. He really came out of his shell after joining the drama club. Cross that bridge when you come to it. Don't stress about it now, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Cut to the chase. Let's cut to the chase. Do we have the budget or not? Dig your own grave. By ignoring every warning, he was slowly digging his own grave. Don't judge a book by its cover. He seemed quiet at first, but don't judge a book by its cover. Drop the ball. The team dropped the ball on the final stage of the project. Face the music. After avoiding it for weeks, he finally had to face the music. Feel it in your bones. She felt it in her bones that something wasn't quite right. Fish out of water. At the formal dinner, he felt like a complete fish out of water. Get a taste of your own medicine. After ignoring others, he got a taste of his own medicine. Get cold feet. She got cold feet right before signing the contract. Get the hang of. It took a few tries, but she finally got the hang of the new system. Give it a shot. I've never tried rock climbing, but I'll give it a shot. Go back to the drawing board. The client rejected the design, so they went back to the drawing board. Go the extra mile. She always goes the extra mile to make her clients feel valued. Hang in there. Things are tough right now, but hang in there, it will get better. Have a lot on your plate. He couldn't take on more work, he already had a lot on his plate. Have butterflies in your stomach. She had butterflies in her stomach before walking on stage. Hit a wall. After weeks of progress, the research team suddenly hit a wall. In hot water. He found himself in hot water after missing 3 deadlines in a row. In the same boat. We're all stressed about the deadline, we're in the same boat. It takes 2 to tango. The conflict isn't just one person's fault, it takes 2 to tango. Jump on the bandwagon. Everyone started using the app after the big influencers jumped on the bandwagon. Keep your chin up. Keep your chin up, things will turn around soon enough. Leave no stone unturned. The investigator left no stone unturned in finding the truth. Let sleeping dogs lie. It was resolved years ago, just let sleeping dogs lie. Look on the bright side. It didn't go perfectly, but try to look on the bright side. Lose your train of thought. He lost his train of thought halfway through the presentation. Make ends meet. With 2 part-time jobs, she was barely making ends meet. Neck and neck. The 2 candidates were neck and neck right until the final vote. Not my cup of tea. Horror movies are really not my cup of tea. Off the top of your head. Can you give me the numbers off the top of your head? On thin ice. After missing so many meetings, he knew he was on thin ice. Once bitten, twice shy. She was careful with her new investment, once bitten, twice shy. Out of the blue. He called her completely out of the blue after 2 years of silence. Out of the woods. The recovery is going well, but she's not out of the woods yet. Over the moon. She was over the moon when she found out she got the scholarship. Pan out. The new strategy didn't quite pan out the way they had hoped. Pass the buck. Instead of solving the problem, he just passed the buck to someone else. Play it by ear. We don't have a fixed plan, let's just play it by ear. Pull strings. He pulled a few strings to get his son an interview at the firm. Put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, apply to multiple companies. Put your foot in your mouth. He put his foot in his mouth by mentioning the layoffs at dinner. Rain on someone's parade. I hate to rain on your parade, but the budget isn't approved yet. Read between the lines. If you read between the lines, it's clear she's not happy there. Ring a bell. That name rings a bell, did we meet at the conference last year? Rock the boat. Nobody wanted to rock the boat by bringing up the real issue. Run out of steam. The project ran out of steam after the key team member left. Shoot yourself in the foot. He shot himself in the foot by arguing with the interviewer. Sit tight. Just sit tight, the results should be out by the end of the week. Skating on thin ice. With another missed deadline, he was really skating on thin ice. Sleep on it. Don't decide right now, sleep on it and let me know tomorrow. Speak of the devil. Speak of the devil, we were just talking about you. Steal the show. Her opening speech stole the show at the annual conference. Step on someone's toes. She tried to help but ended up stepping on her colleague's toes. Stir up a hornet's nest. Bringing up the old policy change really stirred up a hornet's nest. Take it with a grain of salt. He tends to exaggerate, so take what he says with a grain of salt. The last straw. Forgetting their anniversary was the last straw for her. Throw in the towel. After months of struggling, he finally threw in the towel. Time flies. We've been working together for 3 years already, time really flies. Under the table. Some of the payments were allegedly made under the table. Up in the air. The travel plans are still up in the air until we confirm the dates. Wear your heart on your sleeve. She wears her heart on her sleeve and everyone knows how she feels. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You want flexible hours and a promotion, you can't have your cake and eat it too. In the morning. She always drinks a glass of water in the morning before breakfast. At the end of the day. At the end of the day, what matters most is how you treated people. On the way to. She listens to podcasts on the way to work every morning. In the middle of. He called me right in the middle of an important meeting. At the beginning of. At the beginning of the year, she set 3 clear goals for herself. On the weekend. They usually go hiking on the weekend when the weather is nice. In the long run. Cutting costs now will save the company money in the long run. At the top of. Her name was right at the top of the candidate list. On the other side of. There's a quiet cafe on the other side of the park. In the past. In the past, people relied much more heavily on physical maps. At the back of. She found the missing file at the back of the drawer. On the surface. On the surface, the plan looked solid, but the details were weak. In the future. In the future, more jobs will likely involve working with AI tools. At the heart of. At the heart of the problem was a lack of clear communication. On the edge of. She was on the edge of tears during the farewell speech. In the distance. They could see the mountains in the distance as they drove. At the moment. At the moment, the team is focused on finishing the first phase. On the rise. Mental health awareness is thankfully on the rise among young people. In the background. Soft music played in the background during the dinner party. At the start of. At the start of each meeting, she gives a quick progress update. On the left side. The entrance to the building is on the left side of the street. In the spotlight. After the viral video, she suddenly found herself in the spotlight. At the center of. He was at the center of the controversy and had to address it publicly. On the way back. She picked up groceries on the way back from the gym. In the short term. In the short term, the new policy may cause some inconvenience. At the bottom of. The most important clause was buried at the bottom of the contract. On the right track. The feedback was positive, it seemed like they were on the right track. In the meantime. The delivery will take 3 days, in the meantime, use the spare one. At the last minute. He always seems to submit his work at the last minute. On the same page. Before we start, let's make sure everyone is on the same page. In the middle of nowhere. Their car broke down in the middle of nowhere with no signal. At a crossroads. She felt like she was at a crossroads in her career and needed guidance. On the verge of. The company was on the verge of bankruptcy before the new investor came. In the mood for. I'm not really in the mood for anything heavy, let's get soup. At a distance. He watched the ceremony at a distance, not wanting to interrupt. On the subject of. On the subject of the budget, we still need to finalize the numbers. We are currently in the process of reviewing all the applications. At a disadvantage. Candidates without experience start at a disadvantage in that field. On the brink of. After months of tension, the two sides were on the brink of agreement. She's in the habit of reviewing her notes right before bed. At a time like this. It's important to stay calm and focused at a time like this. On the decline. The number of independent bookstores has been on the decline for years. In the name of. A lot of harm has been done in the name of progress throughout history. At a steady pace. The economy has been growing at a steady pace for 3 quarters. On the lookout for. She's been on the lookout for a new apartment closer to work. In the wake of the storm, thousands of residents were left without power. At a loss for words. He was completely at a loss for words when he heard the good news. On the grounds of. The request was denied on the grounds of insufficient evidence. In the absence of clear instructions, use your best judgment. At an early stage. It's better to catch these problems at an early stage of development. On the assumption that. She planned the trip on the assumption that the weather would be fine. In the face of criticism, she remained calm and focused on the facts. At great length. He explained his reasoning at great length during the board meeting. On the condition that. She agreed to help on the condition that her name would not be mentioned. In the region of. The repairs are expected to cost in the region of $5,000. At full speed. The team was working at full speed to meet the approaching deadline. On the whole, the new system has made daily operations much smoother. In the lead. Going into the final round, she was comfortably in the lead. At the expense of. He achieved success at the expense of his health and relationships. On the horizon. Exciting new opportunities are on the horizon for the growing company. In the spotlight. Young athletes often struggle when they find themselves in the spotlight. At the mercy of. Small businesses are often at the mercy of larger market forces. On the fence about. He's still on the fence about whether to accept the transfer offer. In the rush of the morning, she forgot to bring her laptop charger. At the peak of her career, she was giving talks all over the world. She was on the point of quitting when her manager offered her a raise. In the shadow of. Growing up in the shadow of a famous sibling can be really difficult. At the core of every great team is a foundation of genuine trust. On the strength of. She was hired on the strength of her portfolio alone. In the thick of the crisis, the team stayed remarkably calm and focused. At the forefront of. This university has long been at the forefront of climate research. On the mend. He was seriously ill last month, but he's finally on the mend now. In the heat of the argument, she said things she later regretted. At the request of. The event was rescheduled at the request of several key participants. On the move. She's always on the move, traveling between cities for client meetings. In the works. A major update to the software has been in the works for several months. At the turn of the century, the internet changed everything almost overnight. On the receiving end of. He found himself on the receiving end of some harsh but fair criticism. In the realm of artificial intelligence, things are changing incredibly fast. At the risk of sounding repetitive, I want to stress the importance of preparation. On the off chance. She brought an umbrella on the off chance that it might rain later. In the run-up to the election, campaigning became increasingly intense. At the outset of the project, everyone was excited and full of ideas. On the downside. On the downside, the new schedule leaves very little time for breaks. In the aftermath of the merger, many roles were restructured significantly. It's just, really hard to explain how I felt in that moment. I mean, I didn't expect it to go perfectly, but that was rough. Kind of. She was kind of nervous about meeting everyone for the first time. Sort of. The presentation went sort of well, but there's room to improve. To be honest, I wasn't that impressed with the final result. Actually, I think the first version was better than the revised one. Basically, the whole plan fell apart because of one missing detail. Anyway, let's move on and focus on what we can still fix. So, what exactly are we supposed to do before the deadline tomorrow? Well, I wasn't expecting that kind of feedback from the client. Right, so we need to confirm the budget before moving any further. Okay, so, here's what I think we should do about the situation. The thing is, we don't really have enough time to redo everything. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how things develop. I suppose it makes sense when you think about it more carefully. To be fair, he did warn us that this might happen eventually. As I was saying, the key issue is the timeline, not the budget. Not to mention, the commute is long, not to mention how expensive the rent is. On top of that, the project was delayed, and on top of that, 2 people quit. That said, the design needs work. That said, the concept behind it is strong. Having said that, it's a risky move. Having said that, the potential reward is huge. In other words, we need to completely rethink our approach here. What I mean is, we should focus on quality over quantity right now. The point is, we can't keep ignoring the feedback from customers. What's more, the plan is cost-effective, and what's more, it's easy to implement. Even so, the deadline is tight. Even so, I think we can make it work. Then again, it might be risky. Then again, playing it safe hasn't worked either. At the end of the day, the decision is entirely yours to make. Come to think of it, I never actually confirmed the booking. Believe it or not, the cheapest option turned out to be the best. First of all, I want to thank everyone for showing up on short notice. Last but not least, I'd like to recognize the work of the junior team. More importantly, we need to make sure the client feels heard. Just to clarify, the deadline is Friday, not Thursday as I said earlier. If anything, the new version is even more confusing than the original. For what it's worth, I thought your presentation was really strong. Needless to say, everyone was relieved when the project was approved. As you can see, the numbers have been improving steadily each month. To put it simply, we spent too much and earned too little this quarter. To sum up, the main challenge is time, and the solution is better planning. In a sense, failing early actually saved us from a much bigger mistake. All in all, it was a challenging but rewarding experience for the whole team. As a side note, the venue for the event has been changed to the main hall. By the same token, he expects loyalty from others. By the same token, he gives it too. In any event, we should be prepared for both possible outcomes. On a related note. On a related note, the marketing team has some exciting news to share. Just to be clear. I'm not saying the idea is bad, just the timing. Long story short, we missed the deadline and had to apologize to the client. Not only that. The new hire is talented, not only that, she's incredibly hardworking. To make matters worse, the system crashed, and to make matters worse, there was no backup. That being said, the results were disappointing. That being said, we learned a great deal. Moving on, let's talk about what we can do differently next time. Going back to what I said earlier, the real issue is communication. With that in mind, let's adjust our strategy for the second half. As a result of the changes, productivity has improved significantly. To that end, we need better tools. To that end, we've requested a bigger budget. Speaking of which, did anyone follow up with the client after Tuesday? On that note, I think this is a good place to wrap up today's meeting. Interestingly enough, the least popular feature turned out to be the most used. As things stand, we're about 2 weeks behind the original schedule. To be more specific, the error occurred in the third line of the code. Granted, it wasn't perfect, but it was a solid first attempt overall. In that case, we should probably push the launch date back a little. Either way, we need to have a final answer ready by Monday morning. Just so you know, the client meeting has been moved to Thursday afternoon. All things considered, I think we handled the situation pretty well. To give you an idea, last year's budget was about twice this size. Strictly speaking, that approach doesn't follow the original guidelines. Roughly speaking, the whole project should take about 3 months. Broadly speaking, the feedback has been positive across all departments. Frankly speaking, I think we underestimated how complex this would be. In short, the plan needs more work before we can present it to the board. To wrap things up, I'll quickly go over the main points from today. So to speak, he's become the backbone of the team, so to speak. As it were. She became, as it were, the unofficial leader of the whole group. In turn, each department was given a chance to present their findings in turn. What's interesting is that the simplest solution worked the best. Put differently, we're not failing, we're just learning what doesn't work. I went to the store to pick up a few things for dinner tonight. To buy some milk. She stopped at the corner shop to buy some milk on her way home. After a long day at the office, all he wanted was a hot shower. Before it gets dark. Let's finish the outdoor work before it gets dark this evening. Without saying a word, she packed her bag and left without saying a word to anyone. Just to be safe. He saved a backup copy of the file just to be safe. As fast as he could. He ran as fast as he could to catch the last train home. With a big smile. She walked into the room with a big smile and greeted everyone warmly. By the time she arrived, the meeting had already started without her. Without any hesitation. He answered the question without any hesitation and impressed everyone. One step at a time. Don't rush, just take it one step at a time and you'll get there. In less than an hour. They managed to finish the entire report in less than an hour. Right before the deadline. She submitted the final draft right before the deadline closed. as quietly as possible. He slipped out of the room as quietly as possible to avoid waking anyone. From the very beginning. She knew from the very beginning that the project would be challenging. Without even thinking. He said it without even thinking and immediately regretted his words. All by herself. She solved the entire problem all by herself without asking for help. Later that evening, they sat down and had an honest conversation about everything. First thing in the morning. She always checks her messages first thing in the morning before breakfast. Just around the corner. The cafe we're meeting at is just around the corner from the station. A little bit at a time. She saved a little bit at a time until she had enough for the trip. Right after lunch. They scheduled the important call right after lunch when everyone was back. As soon as he woke up, he reached for his phone to check the news. Without a second thought. She offered to help without a second thought about her own schedule. For the first time in years, she felt genuinely excited about her work. Right in the middle of. He called right in the middle of my lunch break with urgent news. All at once. Everything seemed to go wrong all at once on the worst possible day. From start to finish. She managed the entire event from start to finish almost entirely alone. At the very last moment. He changed his mind at the very last moment and decided to stay. Step by step. The instructor walked them through the process step by step very clearly. With a little help from her team, she finished well ahead of schedule. Somewhere along the way, he lost sight of why he started. Little by little, her confidence in speaking English grew stronger. Without a doubt, that was the best meal I've had in years. On her own terms. She built her career on her own terms and never compromised her values. From that moment on, he made a commitment to be more present. In the blink of an eye. Her whole morning routine was done in the blink of an eye. Right at the start of the semester, she set a strict study schedule. As if nothing happened. He walked back in and sat down as if nothing happened at all. With everything she had. She gave the final performance with everything she had left. Before anyone noticed. He quietly fixed the mistake before anyone noticed what had gone wrong. Every single day. She showed up and gave her best every single day without exception. For just a moment, she closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Out of nowhere, a brilliant solution came to him during his morning walk. Not long after the announcement, the whole team began to feel more hopeful. Right on schedule. The project was completed right on schedule, which impressed the client. Without looking back. She made her decision and moved forward without looking back at all. Day by day, the situation slowly began to improve for the whole team. Against all odds, the small startup became one of the top companies. From that point on, she handled every meeting with much more confidence. Just a few minutes later, the power came back and everyone relaxed. All the way through. She stayed focused and calm all the way through the difficult negotiation. Before she knew it, 3 hours had passed and the work was done. In the days that followed, the team worked harder than ever before. Right where she left off. After the break, she picked up right where she left off without missing a beat. He answered every question without missing a beat during the interview. Just as she expected, the client loved the new design immediately. Throughout the whole process. He stayed calm and supportive throughout the whole process. One way or another, We are going to find a solution to this problem.